All right, folks, as you can see, table behind me, it's all done. This video is going to be about finishing up the breadboarding, doing the bottom, attaching the legs, rebuilding the legs, attaching them. I didn't film the sanding and the polyurethane over the top, but there's some planing in here, and then and that's it. We're all done with the table. The last thing might be to make a drawer for it, but I haven't decided on when to do that and what form it'll take. This is a folding table. There is room to put a drawer that remains in place while the table is folded. So it's definitely possible to have a drawer in there that's permanently fixed. But the table is finally done, and I think my great-grandfather would be proud. Anyway, enjoy. table planed. There's a couple reasons. Number one, I'm not going to go any deeper than this. I'm going to leave this as it is. You know, this is just kind of a natural defect of the original table. I'll just leave it. I'm going to sand the table top and put a thinned coat of polyurethane on it, and that's it for the finish. It's going to remain a work table. But a bunch of things really are disappointing. There's a bunch of tear out from the maple. This is the least of it. This side turned out fine. You know, a little bit there, and there's a whole bunch here. And I'm just going to fill that with epoxy and just like kind of highlight it, just because, you know, the sanding might take a little bit out of it out, but I don't. There are some defects here that are just too deep to take out with the plane, like these guys. This guy here was a split in the wood when I separated the planks. I glued that up, and again, I'm just going to fill that with epoxy and just call it done. Here's some defect that was on the table before. There are a couple places where there were some dents and things. Here's a scratch. Where is it? Right here. There's kind of a deep scratch. Most of it came out with the plane. I just don't want to take any chance of trying to go deeper and hitting the ends of the screws with the plane. That would ruin my day. Otherwise, I think the top came out fine. If you may notice, the experienced woodworkers out there may suggest that maybe this is cherry, and I think actually this table was probably cherry. The reason I didn't think it was cherry before was because the table hadn't darkened that much, except for the dirt and stains that were on it. And by darken, I mean I would attribute this more to dirt than anything else, but I think it's cherry. The bottom rails are cherry. Some of the grain here actually does look pretty nice. Like in here, you can see a little bit of curl. You know, there's some neat looking grain in here that might come out when we put the finish on. But, you know, there's other damage here that's not going to go away. Like these little holes and stuff. These will fill with poly a little bit and seal up. Otherwise, you know, I've got a cherry table with a band of maple around it. Which is fine, because the maple's harder than cherry. Anyway, I'm going to call it done, and we'll sand it and put some finish on it. Starting to rebuild the legs, I've taken the old steel hardware and wire brushed them, and I'm spraying them with some clear stuff to keep them from rusting again. And you know, these wing nuts are kind of nice shape, feel good. I'm using the old steel hinges, so I've cleaned them up, run a countersink through there, and then I'm replacing a few of the screws. These really long screws, I've wire brushed them and sprayed them. They go into the end here, and then I'm replacing the screws that go here using the old screws that go here. And then these were actually finish nails, so I'm replacing those with some small screws and then gluing everything together. It was glued together before. I think it was some kind of a hide glue or something, but it wasn't a substantial amount of glue. You can tell I've sanded all of the leg parts I labeled them so that I could put them back together in the same location. I'm about ready to do a final attachment of these rails. I'm just using the bottom of the table as a workspace right now. And I've got the top protected by resting on these guys. So we're almost done. I've got one leg built and looks pretty good. We will put a finish on it later. Bye. All right, so here, after I've assembled all the legs and fastened everything together, the bottom of the table here is done. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of features here. Here's the old writing. Sorry for the moving camera. Some of the old writing that was on the table before. I've tried to keep that intact. There's some more of the writing there. Of course, on the bottom of this rail here, the dimensions for these rails now. So I remade these blocks. This is just some pine, screwed the block down to the table, and then attached this metal bracket. Here's the cleaned up hardware here. And then I made these little tokens here. These guys cover the screw heads. They're really long screws that attach these horizontal rails. The old ones looked kind of like this. I think they were a little bigger. But so I decided to make 8 of these. They're all different, and then I just glued them in place. So if you need to take the screws out, we can just, you know, pop this off, pop this one off, and unscrew the thing. Of course, everything's glued together, so you'd have a hard time getting it apart. Well, it might come apart easily. I don't know. Anyway, so there's one coat of thinned polyurethane on here and on the bottom of the table. Otherwise, here are the pegs that are showing through that I put in through the top. And then the other rails here. I'm debating on at what point I'll be able to make a drawer for this. But, you know, it's just another part of the project that I might do later. Otherwise, the bottom here is all assembled and ready to go. All right, here's the final view of the tabletop all done. I lied when I said I would put a thinned coat of polyurethane on it. I put on 3 full coats of water-based polyurethane. I got this stuff at the fancy wood place, and it's all right. I sanded in between. It's a satin finish, and it feels good, and it dried quickly, like you'd expect. But all in all, I think it turned out pretty well. One nice thing about this tabletop is that it is so stiff that it actually didn't flex to conform to my garage floor for quite a while. But it actually exceeded my expectations in terms of, you know, it's a good quality table now. I'm kind of afraid to treat it like a work table, but I'm not going to be hammering and chiseling and stuff on it. It's just basically a layout table, and we'll hold stuff, staging area kind of thing. But it's too tall to really sit at unless you got a stool. But I'm really happy with this, and thanks for watching. Bye.